Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu, my dear brothers and sisters. Don't be shocked, I'm not converting to Islam. I'm actually reverting to Islam and joining so many others that revert to Islam. There are so many of them. The entire goddamn West is reverting to Islam. What is a bit strange is that even though the entire West is reverting to Islam, you can never see any of them around. The majority of people in the West have never seen anyone who has transformed to Islam. But before we go into that, let's talk about the word revert first. You can see that many Muslims online prefer the word revert instead of convert when they describe converting to Islam. And so many other non-Muslim sources in the West even join them and describe conversion to Islam as revert. That makes no sense if you do not believe in Islam, but Western people have just become like that. They call it revert because according to Islamic belief, a human's most natural form is Islam. Allah created every human to be originally Muslim, and that is every human's nature, which is why you revert to Islam if you convert to Islam. Quite weird. According to that belief, a naked person from an untouched tribe in the untouched nature of Brazil is actually inherently a Muslim. A half-naked cannibal in the untouched islands of the Indian Ocean is actually inherently a Muslim who happens to be eating people because of his upbringing. That makes a lot of sense, right? If that person dies, he actually has a chance to go to heaven. I'm saying only a chance to go to heaven, according to Islamic belief, because he was ignorant about Islam throughout his entire life. If we approach this topic rationally, we would rather come to the conclusion that Islam is complete nonsense, because, seriously, Allah creates everyone to be originally a Muslim. But then there are some who live with Islam from birth. Then there are others who are Jews and Christians and Hindus and whatnot, who have to convert to Islam or go to hell. And then there are also those people who are born on some weird island, who eat each other and kill each other and hunt animals throughout their entire life, die in that tribe, but they are also inherently a Muslim. That makes so much sense. But using logic and rationality is not really favored in Islam, so let's just drop this before Allah gets upset. Quite weird that according to that logic, you are inherently a Muslim, I'm inherently a Muslim, we are all inherently Muslims who betray our nature. And Muhammad knew very well how to degrade people and how to degrade people that are not Muslims. He compared the fictional Islamic nature of humans to animals that are born perfectly, and those who believe in different religions instead, he compared to mutilated animals. Thanks, Momo. You're a very, very kind sob. Now, you can see some reverts online. They are quite easy to spot. They usually have very odd Arabic Islamic names that not even Muslim Arabs have, confirming thereby what Islamophobes always say, that Islam is not a global religion, that it's an Arab religion instead. Why would you have an Arab Islamic name otherwise? Are you afraid Allah and Muhammad won't understand you in heaven if you have a Western name? Another point is that reverts, are also quite eloquent, especially if they are English speakers, more so than Muslims who are born in English-speaking countries. But suddenly they start to develop this weird Arab accent. And say things like, the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Because Islam is very global, you know. They are also much more polite than their Muslim brothers in faith in different countries, and that is because of their Western nature, which they fail to appreciate. There are also other examples to that, like Yusuf Islam, who was quite a compassionate human being before he converted to Islam, and after he converted to Islam, he was someone who said that Salman Rushdie deserved the death penalty for blasphemy against Islam. Let's go into that right away. I have seen some examples in my own experience and also some that you can see online. Just pick someone, a random person who grows up in the West, and then at some point of his life converts to Islam. You grew up in the West, god damn it. You grow up in the West, you grow up with Western values. You learn, because you are in the West, to value women's rights, to value individual freedom, to value individual action, to value freedom of speech and freedom of the press and basic human rights and so much more. I mean, if you just look at any map that is based on women's rights, free speech, minorities, basic human rights, freedom of speech, freedom of the press, quality of life, LGBT rights, and so on, you will almost always, almost in all cases, see that the Western world is by far the best, and the Islamic world is by far the worst. You learn to respect people, not to attack them immediately. You learn to respect children, to respect women, and so much more. And then you convert to Islam, and you suddenly start to believe that it's completely fine to discipline your wife. You start to believe that it's completely normal to punish homosexuals, and to punish apostates, to kill blasphemers. And you start believing that the international Jewry has some form of big agenda that is all against Muslims. You start believing that the entire world is against Muslims. And you start believing that you are superior to everyone else because you are a Muslim. That's what Islam teaches. If that is going back to your human nature, then that human nature is a very, very horrible one. If you believe it's completely good to revert to that fictional human nature, then you are actually reducing yourself and you are regressing. You are regressing because you start to forget about basic human rights and basic individual freedoms. And you are reducing yourself because you start forbidding yourself from so many individual liberties, from so many basic human rights. Especially if you are a woman, you are reducing yourself to a status where your husband has the authority over you and he has the right to discipline you. And he has the right to take more women beside you. And that he can have sex with you whenever he wants, even if you do not want it at that moment, because otherwise angels will condemn you. The problem is also that many who convert to Islam don't really know about Islam very much, because if you are part of a group that is very active in proselytizing for Islam, you will learn some basic strategies. And this is true for almost any group out there that is proselytizing and that wants people to convert to Islam. What they do is the following. They go out and inform people about Islam. And they think that you should approach people in a soft and gentle way. You should not you should not talk about points that would discourage them. They talk among themselves and say that you should say this instead of that because you don't want a potential convert to fail and to lose the chance of converting to Islam. That is not a great practice. That is not some form of compassion. And that's not honesty at all. That is just blatantly an evil act. You are hiding horrible parts of your religion from people because you are afraid they would reject that religion in the end as a consequence. Let me just restore my gayness for a second. My Jewish Zionist gayness, for which I converted to non-Islam. I reverted to my non-Islamic position. Just ignore this part. Okay. So when you convert to Islam, you're actually degrading yourself and you are going back. If we just compare all of this, and I'm not even going into how wrong the Islamic belief is, let's just look at a big picture. In the West, you learn that women are free and equal, that free speech is a very important value, that religious freedom is very important and that everyone should decide what they do on their own, that people can join and leave religions as they want, that the press should be free to report on whatever there is to report, that homosexuals, whether you agree with their life or not, can practice their individual freedom. You learn about individual freedom. That everyone is essentially equal, and so on. When you convert to Islam, you learn that women have to obey their husbands, that they can be disciplined by their husbands, that the husbands can take other wives together with them as well. This is actually a funny part, because I tweeted only recently about the fact that women in Islam are not allowed to enjoy a beach fully the way women are normally allowed. And then so many converts and other Muslims replied by saying that it's none of my business, that those women might even enjoy it that way, that the women might enjoy it their own way. Let's completely disregard the fact that it's forbidden to enjoy it otherwise. And that nudity is not freedom. Well, I'm sorry, that's not the point. You are not free to have nudity or anything else if you are under Islam. That is the point. In the West, you value free speech. In Islam, you don't. You are not allowed to say anything about the religion. You are not allowed to question it. You're not allowed to say anything that is critical of your leadership or your religion. And there is basically no Muslim majority country that allows freedom of speech the way the West allows freedom of speech. There is no religious freedom in Islam. You are not simply allowed to convert to any religion back and forth. And you are not allowed to proselytize for another religion. That is a crime. And it's no coincidence that over a dozen of Muslim countries enforce that as a crime. According to Islam, you can't leave the religion, because if you leave the religion, you are an apostate who deserves the death penalty. If there is no free speech, there is also no free press. And if you look at the Islamic world is very, very, very bad in terms of the free press. In the Islamic world, the vast majority of people agree that homosexuality should be banned and punished and persecuted, which is no coincidence because Islam orders the killing and persecution of homosexuals. There is no individual freedom because Islam is probably one of the biggest groupthink ideologies out there right now. And you are not allowed to simply make your own choices in your life. I mean, you are even told by Muhammad directly to abide by a strict beard and mustache code. And everyone is not equal because the Quran and the Hadith say that in so many places. And they order also to fight and to subdue people who are not believers of Allah and the Prophet Muhammad. What is this if it is not regress and if it's not a reduction of yourself? If the word revert refers to being backwards in human progress, then I think the word revert is completely accurate. Thanks for watching. If you like this video and my content in general and my cause, please do not forget to like, to subscribe and to share. My channel is not monetized and never will be, so you won't see ads on my channel. If you want to support my cause, you can do so on Patreon. The link is below in the description and it's very easy to sign up and to pledge any amount that you like. I appreciate all your support very, very much. I'll be here on Friday with another video. Have a great day and reject and resist Islam.